At CES in January, I saw robot orchestration for the first time. This is a real important new product, not even product category, a service category to run manufacturing. And this is real important for making America manufacture again. Not that we ever stop, but we want to bring more and more manufacturing here to America and to the Western world. And this is going to be an interesting one, talking about how robots are being run inside factories and other places. Who are you?
My name is Thomas Shey, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Civil Robotics. We're a construction tech startup based in San Francisco, and I'm glad to be here, Robert. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I should come over and see you. You're only an hour away. Did I lay that up right, that you're doing robot orchestration? Well, tell us a little bit about what you're doing. Let's go to 30,000 feet.
So high level, we are automating construction surveying. Majority of our customers use our robots in infrastructure projects like solar farms and data centers and road construction and ports. In essence, what our robots do and perform is markings. So we mark the blueprint in real scale outdoors in construction sites. So it's an all-terrain machine that drives around the job site and points on the ground coordinates based on the blueprint where to build. If it's a foundation of a structure or a stop sign or a curb or a solar array that is being marked.
And what's the breakthrough here? Why do we need this at this time?
So surveying is being done manually for a long time. It's a very repetitive task, and it's required at every job site pretty much. Construction faces a huge challenge when it comes to labor shortage. And in order to get the job done, we need to find talent. Skilled labor in particular is even worse. So our product is basically empowering surveying professionals to get the job done about 4 to 8 times faster, depending on how you measure it. And without much skills need to be done. Like anyone can operate our machine. It's very straightforward. We've trained customers in less than an hour sometimes how to run the machines and perform much faster than people who've been doing this for years.
Yeah, they used to use sextants to figure out the construction site. This does it really fast. What does the machine look like? Do you have a video or picture of one, or?
I have one right here.
Or two. Okay, great. Yeah, what is that?
And a bunch over there.
All right. So this thing rolls around. What is it? Does it have a bunch of LiDARs and cameras on it?
It has a survey-grade GPS technology called GNSS or RTK. That provides the positioning of the machine within less than half an inch. So it's within like a third of an inch positioning. We are also using an IMU sensor for knowing the terrain conditions, because if we are driving on a slope, we need to mark on the slope also. So we need to be aware of this conditions. We do have some obstacle detection avoidance in some of our machines, but most of our customers disable it because it's a cobot. So there's still a person involved in the loop. And therefore we do not really need the fancy LiDARs or cameras on this machine in particular.
Okay. And at a construction site, do you roll it around in a grid? Does it automatically map out? How do you set it up and use it?
Great question, Robert. We keep it very simple. We take the same file that they use today manually by surveyors, select the area on the map, literally just draw a polygon, like 4 buttons or 6, whatever the shape of the area you want to mark, and press start. That's all you have to do. Follow the robot. Either we'll spray paint on the ground the markings, or if you want to be really, really, really precise, it will shoot a laser pointer on the ground, as you can see on our website, and will verbally tell the person, mark.
Wow.
So really very straightforward, simple operation. Just follow the machine and do what it says.
So it knows where it is in 3D space really well, and it helps mark out a job site so you get started in the correct place at the correct angles and all that.
Exactly, sir.
What's the hardest part of building this robot?
Ruggedness, I would say. Today we stand here, we've been at it for over 5 years, deploy the first product in the field in 2021, and keep on iterating and improving. Construction sites, outdoors, in the desert, in the mud is rough. And these machines need to survive and mark thousands of points. We have a machine that marked over 500,000 points.
Wow.
And it came back. It's actually the one of behind me. It's one of our oldies, and we keep it here as memoir of how much we've come, and we've continued to iterate and improve our product to make sure that it's robust and can handle the different challenges that we'll face in the field.
Yeah. How much time does this thing save, over the old way of doing it?
So I'll give you an example. There was one job site they used for over a year. Before us, they had 18 people doing construction marking. 18, 1-8.
Wow.
With us, 3.
Okay. So that saves you a lot of labor costs. And how much does this robot cost?
So depending on the model, and if you choose to buy or rent, give or take, I would say $8,000 a month.
Yeah.
And that alone is actually equivalent as if you are replacing the manual handheld surveying equipment. So there's cost savings, of course, of labor, but it actually balances out equipment to equipment. So the manual equipment, if you need 3 of those or 4 of those, it equals to like using one of our robots.
Wow. Okay. So it's very efficient at saving you money. Where is AI used in this? Is it just for navigating it around, or is it actually doing some extra work?
So there's multiple layers of using AI in this product. Most of it is in being smart and how it's not mapping, but more like how it's planning its mission. You could dump the machine wherever you want on the job site. It will start marking, and you don't have to do much. Just say, okay, I want to mark this area, go mark it. And even determining, in some cases, you can set it up that way that, let's say you need to mark a fence
Yeah.
and a pile. A fence does not need to be that precise. Let's say it can be within an inch, but a pile has to be within 1/3 of an inch. So we can able to, based on the layers, the AI can use to identify and mark the different accuracies, and that will affect the output as well.
Yeah. Why did you get into this? Because you're a smart dude, you could build robots of all sorts of different kinds. But
So
I saw a robotic lamp yesterday, right?
I'm not a roboticist by trade. I'm
Yeah.
actually a construction guy. So I worked in construction before starting this venture. And I spent on one of my job sites about $4 million on surveying services. So I spent $4 million, people walking around, marking coordinates and measuring. I'm like, this is silly. There has to be a better way. And I actually use a different product, basically a blueprint on an app. So instead of having the big piece of paper, I'm like, this is awesome. But I am out in the field, acres of land in front of me. What does this map help me? I want to select here and see in the real world. And that's how everything came together.
Yeah. For people who don't know the construction business, why do you need to do all this surveilling at the job site, before you build a skyscraper or something like that?
So I'll give you an example. The design, let's say, of a skyscraper has foundation. Let's say I give you an example here in the Bay Area. We have the Chase Center, 10,000 foundation points, designed in a particular way, and in order to really support the structure as designed, we have to build it accordingly in the real world. So we take that design and bring it to the reality and marking it one by one, because they give it in a steel structure, there's not much wiggle room. If the points are 10 feet apart, that beam is 10 feet, maybe 10 foot and 2 inches. So you don't have much space for error. And in order to connect the beam, your piles have to be bullseye. So it's very important to build according to plan. Otherwise, you can go and do reworks, and that's a pain in the butt. And also, it doesn't, if someone designed a structure in a certain way, taking all the engineering background and you build it differently, you don't want that risk on you.
Yeah. What have you learned by doing and building this kind of company? Because this isn't the usual kind of company I'm talking to. So
I've learned that many things along the routes. But I think the most interesting thing that I've learned is that, we're working with people, and people are cautious sometimes when it comes to robotics and automation. And it's all about how you phrase what you're providing. And, try to focus on the values that you're creating for those individuals that you talk to. Because if I speak to an operator or a superintendent or project manager or procurement, it's a very different discussion. So how do you tailor the discussion to the individual that you are working with or communicating with to touch their pain points and make sure that we address them and show them the value of using our technology?
Are you hitting the same kind of resistance that others are worrying about jobs going away? Because you laid it out. 18 people used to do a thing. Now 3 people do, right? Word gets around pretty quick. Oh, this little box is going to replace my job, right?
So there's 2 things I'll point out about that. One, the construction market has a huge shortage of labor. Talking numbers, over 500,000 people, jobs open, available. Apply. 2, for every 3 surveyors that retire, only 1 joins the force. How do you mitigate that gap? And projects are getting bigger and bigger while the workforce is getting smaller. We're not trying to replace, we're trying to empower the talent that we do have to get the job done faster. And the one who were supposed to do it, they should do things that are more smart, more sophisticated. Because if our machine could do it really, really well, really efficiently, that person could do a task that robots can't do, can't perform. And so use that workforce to do tasks that are harder in reality.
Yeah. Does this increase the accuracy over doing it the human way? Because there's where there's humans, I know when I drive my car, I make mistakes. The car doesn't make mistakes anymore, right? So
it is more reliable. It's one of our core values: being reliable, being simple, being efficient. And it's reliable because we're literally squeezing all the specs from the technology that we use. So we are using the same surveying equipment technology that we have on a handheld device on the robot, and the robotic arm can move within 0.1 millimeters. A person holding a pole 7 foot tall, looking at a bubble or a screen telling him how much more left, how much more right. And we're using the same data sets. Is less precise and less. You don't know how many points they'll do one day. One crew can do, let's say, 300 points. The next crew can do 500 points. And the next crew can do 250. Our machine does between 2 to 3 points a minute, depending on your accuracy requirements and spacing, consistently. And knowing how to project your outputs and knowing how many resources you have to allocate to perform a task is also valuable to do risk project delays, which is the biggest problem we have in construction, I would say.
Yeah. What's going on in San Francisco from your point of view? Because you're in the robotics industry there. There's a lot of different kinds of robotics that's going on there. We're within 60 miles of San Francisco. From landscaping robots to humanoid robots. But I'm sure you get together at meetings and conferences for robotics. But what's going on?
So first, I'll take a step back. What is a robot? Is Waymo a robot?
Is Waymo
a robot?
Yeah, to me, my Tesla is a robot. My
Yeah.
little vacuuming Matic robot is a robot.
The Tesla, before you had the autonomy stack, it was not a robot. It was just
No,
a
it was a car.
what
I like
makes
to
a
switch
robot?
it back and forth, right, from robot mode to car mode.
Yeah,
Now soon there'll be one with no steering wheel. That's a total robot. No
yeah.
humans, no human in the loop.
So I would say that there's different robotics solutions out there. One is even just more software oriented. One is more driving oriented or automobile. One is more in agriculture. One is more in arm picking. Um, there's a lot of different robotic solutions out there. You mentioned one of them, like mowing and or car
Landscape.
cleaning,
Yeah.
or I've seen also solar panel cleaning robots out there. There's a lot of robotics, even cleaning walls and inspection robot. Is a drone a robot also? Yeah,
I count it as it. I put drone companies on my robotics list. Yeah,
yeah,
because they're flying robots, right?
yeah. So there's a lot of robotics systems out here. And actually, I'm part of a few meetup groups that discuss robotics and hardware,
Yeah.
sharing our knowledge and experience and network. We are, many of us don't compete with one another at all, and share the knowledge and share the experience that we have. And it is a nice community out here in San Francisco area for robotics and hardware in general.
Yeah, and the guy who runs factory AI has taken on Waymo to work for a year and a half. Waymo's not even on my street, and it was invented here. We still are in the early days, I think, of robotics in America.
Yeah, I think San Francisco in general is a great hub for robotics and AI autonomy in the different industries. From, you mentioned some of them, from operation and maintenance, construction, agriculture, um, and many more that we haven't even spoke about from manufacturing. It's not, robots are a huge part of warehouse automation and manufacturing.
How did you convince a venture capitalist or somebody to give you capital to start this company? Because I don't think many of them are in the construction business, and so they're like, "What?" Did
So
you have
one of
to
our
do a lot of education about this business and how big it is?
Yeah, so one of our first investors in our pre-seed was actually a construction company. So they
Okay.
saw that they understood the value, and they know how much to spend on surveying services. So it was very clear. In our seed round, we got some, call it real venture money, um, and construction as a whole is an industry that needs disruption. So they saw the opportunity in disruption, the construction industry, and our bold vision of automating not just surveying but also construction tasks as itself. And I would say there's no point to automate a task if you're not doing it precisely. We got the precision nailed down. Now we're working towards more autonomy construction solutions out there.
And give me an idea of what's next for your company. What's the impulse here?
Yeah. So I'll give you two parts of it. In our seed round, Trimble invested in us. Trimble is the largest surveying equipment manufacturer and also machine control company based also here in the Bay Area with headquarters in Denver. And in our last round, on top of the venture money we have from Alley Corp and other of our strategic investors, Bobcat invested in us. And as you can imagine, that's where we're heading. We're heading towards automating larger machines like Bobcats to perform tasks without or with less human intervention. So instead of having an operator sitting in the cabin, you have an operator sitting in a truck overseeing multiple machines working in tandem.
That's an exciting future. What does this mean for manufacturing and construction in America? I'm seeing that there's a huge amount of pressure to get buildings built fast, right? Elon just built a huge data center in 19 days. That's incredible. What's going on in construction? Where do you think this is going for construction and manufacturing in America?
I think construction as a whole, depending on what you're building, there's value of getting the job done sooner. In data center, like you mentioned, I believe for every day that you finish earlier from contracts, sometimes I've seen it's $1 million. So if you could shave it a day doesn't matter how, and it costs you less than $1 million, you should make that investment or de-risk delays as well. So there's a huge incentive contract-wise to get the job done on time, if not sooner.
Yeah.
Especially with assets like data centers or solar farms, they produce millions of dollars by selling the energy to the grid, clean energy. So Civil Robotics is helping our industry to get there sooner, and being able to build a data center in 19 days. Elon definitely used more autonomy and robotics there.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of communities get burned or destroyed because of climate change. Is this real important for rebuilding those communities and getting them back up and running?
So we haven't had many customers using our machines for housing, mostly for infrastructure. If you're building a house, you're maybe marking 10, 20 points. That's not even 6 minutes for our robot. So we really use our machine to mark 6 points, 20 points a day.
Yeah.
We're being used to deploy on large assets, like solar farms. I mentioned earlier, we had a job that had about 300,000 points. 300,000 points marked across, I think it was like 5,000 acres.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. Is this a good way to watch subsidence? Ground going down because water's being pumped out of the ground. That's happened in my house. My house is probably about 6 feet lower than when it was built, right? And you can see that cracks the roads and changes the terrain a little bit. Is this something that I'm going to see a city surveyor rolling one of these around my
What
streets?
you would see is probably construction companies that are using to rebuild some of these infrastructure assets that are suffering from challenges, like you mentioned, the soils going down due to drainage or other damages you may have seen in the cause. I would not per se say it's climate change. I would just say it just, we live in a world in America that needs a pump of capital to build infrastructure again. If it's highways, trains, or whatnot.
Yeah. Here in my neighborhood, we live on an earthquake fault too. So there's a lot of little USGS markers that somebody surveyed and put down in the concrete. Could this machine be rolled around the streets to watch how earthquakes the fault lines are slipping or anything like that? Or is there, in other words, is there other uses other than just building skyscrapers and solar farms and stuff?
So there's one more use case that we see customers use a machine is it's called topographic measurements.
Yeah.
So basically, the robot will drive on its own and just collect data of mostly positioning X, Y, and Z. So if the surface that went down, it will be able to detect that and monitor that progress. Our robot per se is not doing much of that work. We have two of our customers use the topo feature for checking the work of civil contractors on their job sites.
Yeah.
But not as much for operation and maintenance.
Yeah. What for people who might have seen a construction site, you see a lot of little flags, and sometimes you see the spray paint. Is that what you're laying down? And what do those flags mean?
Robert, I think it's best I just show a quick video.
Okay.
Say, that'd be cool.
We could do that, or you could send me the video and I can cut it in right now, or just show it to me. Either way, it works.
Awesome.
It's not like see you see me days back in the 1990s where nothing worked.
So a robot drives around the job site, person walks behind it, and the machine will literally show them with a laser beam on the ground where to put the marker. You mentioned earlier your flag. It could be a nail with a feather, it could be a flag. And the robot communicates. Like I said, it's a cobot. Communicates with the operator, telling them the point description. In this case, a yellow marker, because yellow means a certain type of foundation. And sometimes you use a spray paint because you don't have to be that precise. So you can use our base model, which is spray paint. It's not as precise. And we can mark a point or a dash, showing the contractor where, let's say, in this case, we're doing a fence. or also where to trench, to dig a hole, a line. So this is a quick video of how our machine works.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell us about the machine itself. Is it just off the shelf parts, or are you building your own electric motors? You going to go in a competition with Tesla? Or, you know?
As an early stage startup, we are not building our own motors. We did design a platform ourselves. We actually designed our market mechanism that's not off the shelf, but the motors and the motor controllers are off the shelf. And of course, the GNSS technology that we're using is well off the shelf. And we put everything together, designed, connect. And to be honest, most of our developers are software engineers who write code for the autonomy stack and precision. It is a geospatial product.
Yeah.
So we took all the geospatial, call it brain and math, and simplified it. So, like I said, anyone can operate this machine.
Yeah. I assume it has an NVIDIA card in it or something like that.
Of course.
Of course. And so you're doing a lot of machine learning to figure that all out.
Especially with a new product.
Yeah. It's cool. Customers must really love it because it looks like it saves them a lot of time and a lot of hassle of getting things wrong, right?
We're very fortunate that today Civil Robotics has over 100 robots deployed in the field. Some customers start with 1, they get 2 more, 3 more, 5 more, 10 more. Our largest customer, I think, has right now 17 or 18 robots deployed. I lost count. And we have customers who started less than a year ago now going up to 10 already.
Yeah.
They see the value very quickly. Their return on investment is immediately because they usually rent our machines.
Yeah.
And it's very simple to scale it because if it works on one job and they have 5 more, they need 5 more.
Since I'm not a roboticist and I'm not in construction, is there a question I should be asking you? Maybe on behalf of the construction people who might be watching this?
I would say that construction people should try things and be more open to change. And Civil Robotics is not trying to change dramatically how they do the task. We're just trying to change slightly the resources that you need to allocate in order to get the job done.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think our customers love the most about us, and people that, for instance, feared robot taking our jobs, we are able to convert them to our biggest advocates because we're making their life better. So instead of carrying 20 pounds of gear on their shoulder, you just have to take a tablet that's like 3 pounds and follow a robot.
Yeah.
Much more enjoyable work and also getting their steps in.
Yeah. That's a good point. On a big solar farm, how long does the battery last? How far can it travel before it needs to be charged up? Do you have to have a Cybertruck on site that charges it up or something?
So we design with that mentality. In construction, we have lunch breaks. During that time, they'll swap the battery. It's a hot swap. It's a very straightforward process. Takes less than 5 minutes because you boot it up. Again, if you don't do a hot swap, because it might take a 30-minute break. So in this case, I will turn it off, swap the battery, and 5 minutes before you start your back after lunch, turn it back on and continue working.
Very cool. Well, I'm out of stupid questions. It's an honor meeting you, and thanks for what you're doing for America, getting us building better, right, and faster.
Thank you, Robert, for having me, and pleasure being here.
Where do we learn more about your company, and where can people get a demo? Or
so you can look online at civilrobotics.com to get more information. We're also very active on social media on LinkedIn. But we do attend industry conferences quite often. I think the next one is coming up in September in Las Vegas called RE+. We also are international. So we have robots already deployed in the Middle East, Europe, Australia, and we'll also attend conferences in those regions as well. It's great to be here. It's great to build America made in the USA. It's really important for us to make our machines here locally and not have to be put into tariffs or supply chain challenges. It's made here in San Jose, delivered to us. Just yesterday, we got another batch of 12 more brand new robots, and next month will be 30 more. Market is growing. Very thankful to be here and continue building this company.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.